You're kidding me. Say it ain't so. I'm paired with Emery Tate. Board one. At least I got white. What shall I ever do? What will become of me? I got a plan. Play e4, get him out of book, and get him thinking on his own, and confuse him with tactics. Yeah, let's try that. Let's see how it worked. Welcome to Chess for Closers. Yeah, I played Emery. Uh, he played the Sicilian, of course, and we headed for the Velimirovich attack. That's what they called it in the old days. I'm not sure what they call it now. Bishop c4. Bobby Fischer and I agreed that this was better than the bishop, the g5 line. E6 to blunt White's bishop's diagonal. Back to b3, bishop e7, bishop e3, castles, queen e2, queen c7, castles queenside, a6. This is all standard. And now White can play rook to g1 here and prepare g4. And I think if I still played anything like this, I prefer rook to g1. But at the time, I thought g4 was the sharpest and the quickest way to attack. But it does involve a pawn sacrifice. Emery took on d4, and now White has a choice. The normal, reasonable looking move is to take back with the bishop. And then Black can play e5, which means he's taking on g4 on the next move. Yes, White gets the g line in return for the sacrifice pawn. Anyway, I took the other way. I took with the rook. And now on e5, I have the option of swinging the rook out to c4. And in fact, that's the only reason to take back with the rook, is if you've decided to go out to c4 and hit the queen. Then queen moves somewhere and White gets in g5. The rook is misplaced on c4. There's no getting around it. And probably White will have to sacrifice it, hopefully for the black bishop that's on c8 now. And with his control over the d5 square, this should be an easy sacrifice to make, an easy exchange sacrifice. Emery didn't play e5. He played b5. And so I played g5, and I was expecting knight to d7. It's the reasonable move. Incredibly, after not much thought at all, Emery played knight to g4. Gotta be wrong. And if he had thought for a few seconds longer, he would not have played the move. It could be that he just thought he could get away. He of course, he was a risk taker. We all know that. But this seems like a pretty big risk. I wasn't a great player, but my rating did start with 2. So without much thought, I took on g4. Of course, he plays e5 now. This is sort of the critical moment of the game. It's come pretty quickly. I think we're only on move 15 or so. Yes, I moved my queen somewhere, but where to go to? There's only 2 reasonable looking squares, h4 and h5. I'll show you what I did. I think I got my focal points mixed up, and I want to talk about focal points in a little bit. I went to h4, and of course he took my rook. Yeah, the computer did not like h4 for my queen. But I started getting so enamored of the idea of my knight showing up on f6 against Emery Tate. And who knows, maybe mate on h7, that I couldn't get away from the move. But let me just show you specifically. Yeah, Emery took the rook. Uh, and and in my La La Land analysis, which could only barely be called analysis, I did not see that after knight to d5, which of course is the first move to look at. Yeah, bishop takes d4 is reasonable, but knight to d5 is the more active continuation of the attack. I failed to see that after queen to d8, um, that bishop takes d4 wasn't playable because bishop takes g5 check wins the queen. So how many moves is that? Well, it's two or something, but it's a tactical situation uh, against a great tactician. The idea that you can get away with looking two moves in advance only and not anywhere further than that, um, you got to do better than that. And so he took, um, and I took back with the bishop, and he played bishop to e6, um, and now I played rook to g1. It really is true. Uh, yeah, there was a better move, and we'll go over in a minute. If I had played knight to d5, the computer likes it. White keeps an edge. Yes, white's down the exchange, but the white bishop is going to plant on d5. Yes, black will get some counterplay on the c line, absolutely. Um, but white keeps an edge, and the game could have moved along those lines. Would I have won? I don't know. I played rook to g1, and the computer's unhappy about it. F rook to c8, uh, and now I took on e6, and the computer, now I'm down a little bit. He took back, rook took back. I played rook to g3, and now I'm much worse here. Yeah, the c2 square, of course, is very vulnerable to b4, and I don't have anything really on the king side. I took on g7, and he took back, and I think I got a check on h6. It all collapsed. And nothing really to show here. Let's go back and see what white could have done if I had picked the right focal point. So f6 was my idea, missing a major variation with losing my queen 2 moves later. The focal point should have been g6. In conjunction with the rook on g1, the bishop on b3, which makes the f7 pawn pinned. Queen h5 was the much stronger move. First of all, on my next move, I can play g6 if I want. The g line opens up. I think rook to g1 is probably stronger. But if I had been thinking in terms of focal points, I had a focal point and it was the wrong one. Anyway, so let's look at one line here. If queen h5, of course he has to take my rook. One difference is on knight to d5, the main difference, I guess. On queen to d8, bishop takes d4, and on bishop takes g5, just f4 and the attack continues. But the other line is, if he plays queen to d7, which the computer thinks is the best move, and the idea is that black will not get checkmated if the queens are exchanged. And so queen d7 plans a queen h3 exchanging queens off at the expense of the bishop on e7. And this is the best line for black. And it's so good that white doesn't even have to play bishop takes d4 here. He can play rook to g1, and taking the bishop gets mated after knight f6. So the best line is queen h3. White takes on e7, of course, and then trades queens. And now white takes back on d4. The computer gives a rook to e8, and then knight f5. Two pieces and a pawn for the queen. I would have beaten Emery if in this position. He was a lot better than me, but he wasn't that better than me. But I collapsed, and this was my best shot for beating Emery. I was 8-0, or I think this may have been the last game I played against him. Nah, maybe not. At any rate, I hadn't beaten him or nicked him for a draw even, and this was just another loss. But this was clearly my best shot at winning, and I wasn't up for it. So what is there something important to take from this game? I was lost before move 20. I think the main thing is to know when you have to get out of the clouds and start coming up with concrete variations. You hear in the books all the time, and I never really understood it. This use of the word concrete in describing, a way of looking at a position. At any rate, yes, this position required concrete analysis. If I go there, he can go there or there. Okay, if he does that, that sort of thing. This idea of in these types of positions, white usually does this. Was out of the question here. But there's something else. Maybe this is irony. I'm not sure. Anyone who knew Emery or spent any time with Emery Tate knows that if he read one chess book in his life, it was by Vladimir Vukovic, Art of Attack. There was a chapter in this book called Focal Points. I owned the book. I opened it, and I saw that they abbreviated knight with a KT. I was done with it. I couldn't abide that. And so I didn't read the chapter on focal points. And maybe the other moral is, along with thinking concretely when concrete thinking is required, maybe go buy this book, but only the new version with algebraic. And I don't think they use KT for knight. Yeah, of course they don't. They have a figurine algebraic. So I'll give this book another shot, and maybe I'll when I get done reading it, I'll let you know. I suspect I'm not going to become a tactical wizard. I'm not cut out for that. But you can't avoid tactics, and so anyway, I hope you like this Tate game more than I liked it. I didn't care for it myself. But check me out next time on Chess for Closers. See ya.